Have you ever watched a powerful organization reach a moment where one decision changes everything? The kind of moment where years of influence, reputation, and carefully built authority suddenly begin unraveling, not because of one accusation alone, but because of how those accusations are handled. That is exactly where many observers believe the Daystar television network finds itself today. For years, Daystar stood as one of the most recognizable Christian broadcasting networks in the world. It was built on a message of faith, hope, and reaching millions through television. But in today's digital world, the rules have changed. Television is no longer the only place where stories are told. Independent YouTubers, Christian commentators, podcasters, and social media creators have become part of the conversation, asking difficult questions and examining controversies that traditional media outlets may never have touched. Instead of allowing those conversations to fade away, many critics argue that the response from Daystar has only intensified public interest. One of the biggest points of controversy centers on Rachel Lamb. Some online commentators have accused her of responding to criticism with confrontation instead of transparency. Those claims have fueled weeks of heated discussions across Christian media, with supporters and critics alike debating whether the ministry's leadership has chosen the right path during one of the most difficult seasons in its history. The controversy grew even larger after allegations surfaced from content creators who claimed they were being harassed online while reporting on church scandals. One creator publicly stated that anonymous social media accounts had allegedly been impersonating them, collecting years-old personal photographs, threatening to expose private information, and intimidating multiple Christian accountability pages. According to the creator, the harassment was not isolated but allegedly extended to numerous individuals covering high-profile ministries. Those are serious allegations, and they remain allegations. However, their public discussion has significantly expanded the conversation surrounding Daystar. The same creator claimed that the timing of the alleged harassment coincided with coverage of several major church controversies, including investigations involving a Hop Gateway Church, Robert Morris, and the ongoing Daystar situation. Adding even more attention to the matter was Bible teacher Mike Winger. According to the creator, Mike Winger publicly shared one of their videos discussing Daystar, dramatically increasing its reach. Tens of thousands of viewers suddenly became aware of the controversy, and the creator also claimed that Winger suggested he might produce his own content examining the Daystar situation if the alleged intimidation continued. Whether that eventually happens or not, the mention alone generated enormous discussion among viewers already following the unfolding story. For many observers, the larger issue extends beyond individual allegations. The question being asked is remarkably simple. Why would a ministry engage so directly with online critics instead of addressing the concerns themselves? Many longtime viewers argue that transparency would accomplish far more than conflict. They point out that today's audiences are different from those of 20 or 30 years ago. Information spreads instantly. Viewers compare sources, watch multiple perspectives, and expect difficult questions to receive direct answers. When those answers do not come, speculation often fills the silence. Critics argue that this is precisely what has happened. Instead of ending the discussion, every public disagreement has seemingly invited even greater scrutiny. Many believe the controversy has evolved from isolated allegations into a broader discussion about leadership, accountability, and trust within Christian organizations. The frustration expressed by many longtime viewers is not necessarily that leaders are imperfect. Most understand that no ministry is immune from mistakes. Rather, they argue that how leaders respond during difficult moments ultimately defines their credibility. Some viewers have openly stated that they are less concerned about the original controversy than they are about what they perceive as a lack of openness afterward. For decades, supporters faithfully donated to Daystar because they believed in its mission. Those same supporters now say they deserve straightforward communication whenever serious questions arise. Instead, Critics argue that public statements have often felt carefully managed, addressing emotions while leaving many factual questions unanswered. Whether fair or unfair, that perception has become one of the defining themes of the current debate. Another major point of discussion involves reports that legal measures or legal warnings have been used against certain critics and content creators. Specific legal claims should be understood as allegations unless established through verified court proceedings or official documentation. Even so, many online commentators argue that relying on lawyers rather than dialogue creates a damaging public perception. From their perspective, ministries are expected to model biblical reconciliation before corporate defense. Critics frequently ask an uncomfortable question. If the facts support the ministry's position, why not simply present those facts publicly? Why not answer every difficult question directly? Why allow uncertainty to continue growing? Whether one agrees with those questions or not, they continue appearing throughout Christian social media. Transparency has become the word repeated more than any other. Transparency about leadership decisions. Transparency about family dynamics. Transparency about internal governance. Transparency about accountability. Many observers argue that openness would do more to rebuild confidence than any legal strategy ever could. The debate has also become deeply intertwined with the broader story involving Jonathan and Susie Lamb. Since their departure from Daystar, numerous supporters have continued expressing hope that reconciliation might one day occur. Some believe Jonathan represents a leadership style rooted in humility and accountability. Others disagree entirely and continue supporting the current leadership. The divide has become increasingly visible. Rather than simply debating organizational decisions, viewers now find themselves discussing competing visions for the ministry's future. Should Daystar continue under its current leadership? Should significant changes occur? Should reconciliation within the family become the priority? Those questions remain unanswered. Meanwhile, another layer has emerged through prophetic voices speaking into the controversy. Some ministers have publicly declared that God is exposing hidden wrongdoing within the American church. They argue that ministries built on manipulation, secrecy, or personal ambition cannot remain standing indefinitely. According to these speakers, this season represents a divine cleansing in which truth will ultimately prevail regardless of human efforts to conceal it. Those statements have resonated with many Christians already wrestling with scandals involving multiple ministries over the past several years. From Gateway Church to AHOP and beyond, repeated controversies have caused many believers to reevaluate how spiritual leaders should be held accountable. The Daystar discussion has become part of that much larger conversation. It is no longer viewed merely as a family disagreement. For many, it represents a test case for how modern Christian ministries respond when public confidence begins to erode. Can transparency rebuild trust? Can humility restore credibility? Can reconciliation overcome division? Those questions extend far beyond one television network. One recurring criticism is that Daystar's public image has shifted dramatically. Supporters once saw a ministry focused almost exclusively on spreading the gospel. Now, critics argue that headlines increasingly focus on leadership disputes, online battles, legal controversies, and family divisions. Whether that perception accurately reflects reality is something viewers continue debating. But perception itself carries enormous influence. Public trust is difficult to earn and remarkably easy to lose. Many media analysts note that modern audiences rarely separate organizational reputation from leadership behavior. Every interview, every statement, every online interaction contributes to the public narrative. For Daystar, critics argue that narrative has become increasingly defensive. Instead of projecting confidence through openness, they believe the ministry appears locked in continual damage control. Others reject that characterization, insisting the network has every right to defend itself against misinformation and false accusations. That disagreement sits at the center of today's debate. One side believes stronger defense protects the ministry. The other believes greater transparency would protect it far more effectively. As the discussion continues, one reality remains undeniable. Independent Christian media now plays a larger role than ever before. Individual creators with cameras, microphones, and internet access can reach audiences once reserved exclusively for television networks. Attempts to suppress online discussion often generate even greater curiosity. That dynamic has fundamentally changed the relationship between institutions and the public. The audience no longer waits for official press releases. They compare interviews. They analyze documents. They listen to multiple perspectives. They make their own conclusions. Whether that evolution benefits ministries or creates new challenges is another debate entirely. But it is clearly reshaping the landscape. For Daystar, the road ahead remains uncertain. Some supporters believe the current leadership can eventually rebuild trust. Others believe significant leadership changes will be necessary before confidence can be restored. Still others hope the divided family might eventually find reconciliation rooted in biblical principles rather than ongoing public conflict. No one knows exactly how the story will end. But one thing seems increasingly clear. The future of Daystar will likely be determined not simply by the accusations made against it, but by how its leaders choose to respond in the months ahead. History has repeatedly shown that organizations often survive crises. What they rarely survive is the loss of public trust. Trust cannot be demanded. It cannot be enforced. It cannot be recovered through carefully crafted public relations alone. It must be earned again through consistent honesty, humility, accountability, and transparency. As viewers continue watching this story unfold, those remain the qualities many say they are hoping to see. Whether Daystar ultimately embraces that path or continues the course its critics describe, may determine not only the future of its leadership, but also the legacy of one of Christian broadcasting's most influential ministries.